Hey guys, it's Jenny here. Welcome back to my channel. So, I decided to go back to my roots today. I decided that I missed doing good old-fashioned booktube videos. Not vlogs, not hauls, not TBRs, not wrap-ups, just videos where I talk about books, I give you guys recommendations, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So it's been literally, I don't think I have gotten ready and filmed a video in like a year. It's always just been like throw on whatever you have and just go with it. So for once in my life, Faith is laying down sleeping. So hopefully that means that we can get this video done without interruptions. So today, the video I have for you guys is something that I have never filmed before. Sure, I filmed recommendation videos and so on and so forth, but I have never done this particular video. I've been seeing it around a lot and a lot more lately, and that is the if you like this, then you might like this book tag. So I don't know who created this tag. I've just been seeing it a lot by lots of booktubers. So I decided to give it a shot because I've been like, I don't know, I always like want to read more books that are similar to the ones that I've been loving. And I usually have a hard time finding those types of books. So I'm like, hey, why don't I film a video? Or I found books that I thought in a way were similar to the ones that I've been enjoying. So I think I have 10 pairs for you guys. And yes, my bookshelves are so decimated after this because, oh my gosh, these books were on literally every shelf. Like you can see all my plushies. They're all just thrown around because so many books got taken off of that shelf, this shelf, my closet shelf. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's continue. So the first set I have is the obvious one, and before I begin, I just want to say all of these books are versatile. So for example, if you've read the first one and you haven't read the second one, or if you've read the second one but haven't read the first one, they're completely versatile. So like interchangeable, either one. If you haven't read it and you enjoyed the other one, you'll probably enjoy, you know what I'm saying. So the first selection I have is if you enjoyed the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, you will also enjoy the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. So it goes the same way. If you enjoyed Percy Jackson and you haven't read Harry Potter, you will enjoy both of these series. So these are both middle grade series, and they focus on these teen boys who feel a little bit lost to the world due to their own struggles. Harry here is an orphan. Percy here suffers with ADHD and has a really hard time in school. Both of these characters find themselves through a magical school, and they find themselves to be heroes of their schools and just the worlds that they find themselves in, and I think you will really enjoy both of these. Percy Jackson is more set around Greek mythology. Harry Potter is, wizards. So I find both of these pretty interchangeable, so if you enjoyed one, you are bound to enjoy the other. I don't actually think I have a personal preference for either one of these because both of these are so near and dear to my heart. Obviously I did read Percy Jackson first when I was in middle school, so that was the first one I fell in love with. But even Harry Potter, I fell in love with Harry Potter as well. The next pick I have seemed to be the most obvious one in my head, and that was if you enjoyed The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, you will enjoy 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott. So both of these are obviously tragic romances surrounding kids who have been diagnosed with fatal diseases. Fault in Our Stars focuses on, oh my god, it's been so many years since I read this book, I forgot their names. Hazel and Augustus, who are both suffering from cancer. Hazel, she hasn't never been anything but terminal. And then Augustus, I think he's in intermission, and they meet through the support group. You know, the story goes on. 5 Feet Apart centers on a girl named Stella and Will Newman. They both suffer from cystic fibrosis, but Will has a more fatal bacteria that comes along with his cystic fibrosis called B. cepacia, which obviously makes their romance very difficult. So both of these stories are definitely some tearjerkers. And I think they were both very well written. I honestly don't have a preference because they are both so good. So definitely, if you've read one of these but haven't read the other, check it out if you want to see something more like it. Okay, the next pick I have also became very clear to me when I was reading. That they were very similar. So if you have read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, you will probably enjoy Frostblood by Ellie Blake. So Red Queen is basically set around this girl named Mare, who is a red blood living in a world of people with silver blood. Silver bloods have these powers. Reds are considered the lowly peasants that aren't special in any way, but she ends up having these secret powers. And the Silvers can't figure out why, because, you know, she's a red blood. She's not supposed to have powers. So this is just kind of her, I don't know, her journey to, you know, getting into the royal system and, you know, having to play this game with them because of something she couldn't control. Frostblood is set around a girl named Ruby, who is a fireblood living under Frostblood reign. Frostbloods were executing firebloods, and she is one of the last firebloods left in her continent. And yeah, so the Frostbloods recruit her to try to overthrow their kingdom. And honestly, these just sound so similar, and they were both very good. I can't actually remember what I rated them, but they were very close. So yeah, I have yet to pick up the sequels to either of these books, but definitely check them out if you haven't read one, but you have read the other. Here's another one. Okay, so now we're gonna get all dark and twisty. So, these 2 books are set around very dark matters, including depression, grief, anxiety, revenge, violence, sexual assault, murder. You know, it's the dark side of the YA genre. So, if you have read The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis, I would recommend to read My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. Okay, so we're gonna get real. These books both made me sob my eyes out. So Female of the Species is set around a girl named Alex, who knows how to kill someone. Her older sister Anna was murdered 3 years ago, and they caught the guy that did it, but he was released and he wasn't charged. He raped and murdered her sister and left her body in the woods. The police found him and they let him go. So she takes matters into her own hands, kills this man as revenge. And this is kind of her story throughout, getting revenge on these people who are taking advantage of girls. Alex is a very dark person, but she works at an animal shelter. She befriends the preacher's daughter and the school jock, who they end up developing a relationship. And it's their journey down this dark and twisted path of Alex kind of finding herself and the light inside of her darkness. My Heart and Other Black Holes focuses on a girl named Aisel, who plots her own death. She's very grief-driven and suicidal. She struggles within her family, and so she meets a boy named Roman, who they meet online and they make a suicide pact. Roman struggles greatly with grief, self-blame, depression. He's also, you know, suicidal. They make this pact to, you know, commit suicide together. And this is the story of them finding themselves within each other when all they were expecting out of this relationship was to die together. But in reality, they end up finding so much more. And I think that both of these are very eye-opening books. One thing is for sure, it definitely takes a lot to read these. There's definitely many trigger warnings within these. The female of the species is about as dark as it goes. It's very gory at some parts. But at the same time, I feel like they're both important and they both send messages. And I would highly recommend this if you have read one but you haven't read the other. Okay, so next we're taking a step out of the dark and twisty moments. And I'm about to recommend you guys a book nobody has probably ever heard of before. This is a book that I have read, and anybody that I've ever met has been like, no, what's that book? I've never heard of that. So if you've read The Hazelwood by Melissa Elbert, I would recommend Unenchanted by Chanda Han. So The Hazelwood is about a girl named Alice Proserpine, who spends her life on the road with her mother. Her grandmother writes the story about the Hazelwood, which is this dark version of some fairy tales that her grandmother writes about, and everyone is convinced that those fairy tales may not be so fake. So after her grandmother's death, she gets a notice in the mail that her grandmother has died, and then her mother disappears. So she goes out on a journey to find the Hazelwood with one of her grandmother's super fans, and they go on this elaborate adventure. They locate the fairy tale world, and the adventure begins. So Unenchanted, I'm gonna give this book some extra attention because I love this book. I've read it numerous times, but nobody has seemed to have heard about it. It's a series. So I originally found this book in the wrong. I found this book in the 5th or 6th grade on iBooks. It's an ebook. It's free. I picked it up. We had just gotten our school iPads, and I wanted to read so bad, but, they noticed if we read a book in class, so I downloaded the ebook. And it was so good. I've read it like 5 times when it was an ebook, and I loved it so much that I made the library get it in physical copy. Then I read it again, and I'm like, I want it in physical copy, so I bought it. But basically, this is about a girl named Mina Grime, who is the most unlucky girl ever. She saves her crush's life on a field trip, which changes her high school status from loser to hero overnight. Her newfound fame brings misfortune in the form of an old family curse come to light. For Mina is a descendant from the brothers Grimm and has inherited all of their unfinished fairy tale business, which includes trying to outwit a powerful story for making her its next fairy tale victim. So she basically has to go on all these adventures to finish the story, trap all these storybook characters back into the grimoire, and it's so good. It's so good. I really love this series. I definitely want to pick up the rest of them. I have the first 2 in paperback. But yeah, the 3rd book I think is my favorite. I'm not sure. I do really like this one. It's hard for me to decide, but definitely pick this up if you enjoyed The Hazelwood or anything to do with the Grimm's fairy tales retelling. Definitely pick this up. So the next one I have is a little bit of a big stretch, but you gotta hear me out. These books are virtually nothing alike in their genres. One is a dystopian, one is a fantasy retelling. Hear me out though, because I know that some people go into books looking for this specific thing. So this might be my worst pairing, but yeah, I wanted to recommend both of these books, so I had to squeeze them together. So if you enjoyed Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, I would recommend To Kill the Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. Hear me out, okay? Shatter Me, yes, it's about a girl who spent her life in an asylum due to the fact that she was locked up because she has a touch that can kill people. She's very lonely and, easily manipulated. But this has some enemies to lover tropes in it. and it's got a very cute romance. And it focuses a lot on friendship and adventure and, you know, finding your true self and breaking out of the barriers of what other people dub you as. And yeah, To Kill a Kingdom focuses on a siren named Lyra, who is a prince killer. She is siren royalty, actually. She has the hearts of 17 princesses in her collection. A twist of fate forces her to kill one of her own. And to punish her daughter, the Sea Queen transforms Lyra into a human. And she has until the winter solstice to deliver Prince Elian's heart to the Sea Queen or remain human forever. So Prince Elian calls himself the Siren Killer, I think. He hunts sirens and he's a pirate. So he rescues a drowning woman in the ocean. She's more than what she appears. And yeah, so the reason I feel like this is kind of like Shatter Me, okay, this is a Little Mermaid retelling, yes. And it's much darker than The Little Mermaid. Well, not the original Little Mermaid. Anyways, this focuses a lot on enemies to lovers. And I feel like it does include a lot of self-realization, coming into yourself, and realizing that you don't have to care about what people think about you. So, yes, this is a fantasy, it's a retelling, and yes, this is a dystopian, it's a sci-fi kind of, yeah. But these both have certain elements that make them enjoyable to the readers. So, I don't know if you catch my drift. It was a long shot, I know, but I had to try it. Okay, so back to the fairy tale retellings. If you have read Heartless by Marissa Meyer, I would recommend you read Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes. Obviously, both of these are Alice in Wonderland retellings, if you couldn't guess. This centers on a girl named Kath, who is, she's a baker, I know that. She's one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and a favorite of the unmarried king. Her interest lies elsewhere just because she just wants to bake, guys. But everyone just thinks that being a baker is unrealistic for her. At a royal ball, she is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, but she ends up meeting his jest, and she feels the pull of true attraction. They enter a secret courtship, and she's determined to choose her own destiny. Fate has other plans, however. And honestly, this just gives us a huge background of why the Queen of Hearts becomes the way she is, and I would highly, highly recommend it. Queen of Hearts is about a girl named Dina, who is a princess who is supposed to one day reign over Wonderland. And there is a dark evil brewing in Wonderland, and possibly even in Dina herself. Her father has basically disowned her. She wants a future with the boy she loved. A betrayal breaks her heart and threatens her throne, and she gets launched into Wonderland's dangerous political games. So, what makes these two similar other than the obvious? Both of these are backstories of the Queen of Hearts. They are both completely different, but they both include that sort of betrayal and the loss and kind of the revenge that makes the Queen of Hearts who she is. And I thoroughly enjoyed both of these. I was very mad at this book for a really long time, and I actually disowned it for a while. But once I thought about it, I was like, okay, you know, it's not supposed to be happily ever after in this book. It's supposed to make us hurt, and it's supposed to make us be like, oh, wow, so that's why she's so evil. And that's exactly what both of these books did. So I would highly recommend these in tandem. Definitely pick these up if you've read one and haven't read the other and are looking for more Alice in Wonderland retellings. Here you go. The next book is kind of a stretch, but we're gonna go for it. So, if you've read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, I would recommend Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. Hear me out once again. Yes, these two are kind of similar. This is about an assassin named Selena Sardathian, who is in the prisons of Aderlin. She is approached by the Crown Prince and asked to compete in this competition of thieves, murderers, liars, and other things, assassins, to become the king's champion. So if she wins this competition and is the king's champion, in a couple years of being his personal assassin, she would then win her freedom. After she enters this competition, her competitors start dying off one by one, and Selena starts to realize there is a darkness brewing in the castle and that she has to solve it and save herself before she becomes this thing's next victim. Three Dark Crowns is about 3 sisters, triplets, born to the island of Fenburn. Each sister has a different kind of element of magic. So there's Arsinoe, she's a naturalist, Mirabella, an elemental, and Catherine, a poisoner. All 3 sisters were born together. At a certain age, they were separated, and they all went to different capitals of the world where they would be raised by their certain respective, magic raisers, I guess. So, Arsinoe went to be raised amongst naturalists. Mirabella went to be raised amongst elementals, and Catherine went to be raised amongst poisoners. And all of these are set in different capitals. The reasoning for this is because when they turn 16, they're supposed to be, the families were supposed to strengthen their gifts so that when they are 16, they can compete in this competition to the death to determine which sister will be the next queen of Fenburn. And it takes a definite twist at the end. I will admit that this book does take a little bit to get into, but the ending is great and the rest of the books are phenomenal, so I would highly, highly recommend it. And yeah, that's why I kind of think these books are similar. They both involve competitions where everyone has something to lose and something at stake, and I would recommend both of these. Okay, next, we're diving into the world of the Fae. And if you've read Cruel Prince by Holly Black, I would recommend The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. Yeah, it's not as great as The Cruel Prince, but it's very, very similar. This is about a girl named Jude, whose parents are killed by the Fae, and then she is then taken into the Fae world to live with her sisters under her father. She was 7 when her parents were murdered. She is stolen away to live in the treacherous High Court of Fairy. 10 years later, she wants nothing more than to belong there despite her mortality. Many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place at the court, she must defy him and face the consequences. She becomes more deeply embroiled in palace intrigues and deceptions. She discovers her own capacity for trickery and bloodshed, but as betrayal threatens to drown the courts of Fairy in violence, she will need to risk her life in a dangerous alliance to save her sisters and Fairy itself. And there's definitely another enemies to lovers trope in this, so... The Wicked King is about a girl named Megan, who has always felt slightly off since her father disappeared before her eyes when she was 6 years old. She has never quite fit in at school or at home. A dark stranger begins watching her from afar, and her prankster best friend becomes strangely protective of her. She senses that everything she knows is about to change. She's the daughter of a mythical fairy king and is pawned in a deadly war. Now she has to learn just how far she'll go to save someone she cares about, and to stop a mysterious evil no fairy creature dare face, and to find love with a young prince who might rather see her dead than let her touch his icy heart. So both of these are extremely similar. They both deal with the world, the intrigues, deceptions of the Fae. Both include the enemies to lovers tropes. Both girls have to go make some decisions for themselves. And hey, they both had a life-changing thing at the young age of 6 and 7. So if you've read one, haven't read the other, I would recommend these in tandem as well. And finally, the last one. I bet you guys know what I'm gonna say. I bet you do. If you have read An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, I would recommend A Coat of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. An Enchantment of Ravens is actually a book I did not like. This centers on a girl named Isabel who's a painter, and her clients are the Fae. So she paints these portraits for them and gets enveloped in this relationship with the fall She falls in love with this autumn prince, and they go on this relationship. They go on this adventure. Court of Thorns and Roses is about a girl named Feyre who is providing for her starving sisters. She kills a wolf in the woods who turns out to be a fae. She gets whisked off by this beast to the world of Prithian. When they arrive at this world, she discovers that it is not a beast but a prince. Not a prince, a high lord of the spring court. And there's a deadly plague that is about to invade both human worlds and the fae worlds alike. And she has to decide whether to put her life on the line or find a way to stop this plague or doom Tamlin and his world and hers forever. So, if you read this book, I would definitely read this one. Because I read this one, I didn't really like it, but I love this series. So, if you liked it, read this. If you didn't like this, read this, because it's better. So, yes. Another book that I was going to suggest along with ACOTAR is Wrath in the Dawn, because this is a fairy tale retelling. And so is ACOTAR. ACOTAR is based off of Beauty and the Beast. Come on, man. And this is based off of 1001 Nights, and it also has Aladdin in it. So, like... So, that was my ridiculously long video of recommendations. If you like this, you should read this. Let me know in the comments down below which books you were interested in. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I do plan to do more videos similar to this. I have a couple videos in the works. And there's another video that I really would like to do, but I don't know if my reading's at a spot where I could pull something like that off. But we shall see. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time for a new video.